Hello everyone, welcome back to Touch the Fire Twice. I'm Joshua, and I'm here today to do an in-depth sniff review on the recently launched Citrush fragrance from Boy Smells in both candle and eau de parfum forms. But first, if you're new to Touch the Fire Twice, welcome. My mission here is to share my love and passion for fine home fragrance as an enthusiast, an educator, a reviewer, to inspire you to increase your own fragrance knowledge and understanding, ultimately enhancing the scent memories that you create. If you want to learn more about what I do, why I do it, and how I do it, you can check out my website at TouchTheFireTwice.com, and please do give me a follow over on Instagram, also at TouchTheFireTwice. I recently posted a poll over on my Instagram stories at TouchTheFireTwice, asking folks which of 5 luxury candle brands they wanted to see from me next. And that included candles within Boy Smells, Diptyque, Trudon, Dias & Durga, as well as Lafco. And 41% of the voters chose. It's tough to say because there are 4 options on the poll feature, and I had to put both Diptyque and Boy Smells in one option. So 41% chose that. I will, of course, still get to the Diptyque Juniper candle, but I wanted to dig into this one first. Now, this is considered a citrus woody fragrance family, and the Boy Smells headline on this is a citrus high of pomelo, black pepper, and musks. Their scent story shares for those ready to serve big zaddy energy, minus the toxicity, of course. Heaps of pomelo and citrus gush forth from a deep velvety base. Think ripe musks, ISO-E super, and the perfect pinch of black pepper. Now, what is Citrush? What is the branding? You may have seen Instagram posts and or ads or articles talking about Citrush and where the inspiration came from this, the branding, very iconic. It's a bit of if you know, you know. And it was inspired by a chemical that was originally used as a video head cleaner, a room deodorizer, and a leather cleaner, but is often used for recreational purposes as well. It's not entirely the safest content for YouTube, so if you want to learn more, I would say just Google Boy Smells Citrush, and you can get the true full backstory on where it came from. But today, I'm going to dig into the fragrance, both of the candle and the eau de parfum. Opening this up, Boy Smells always has really fun, kind of at this point, iconic branding. If you haven't seen my other Boy Smells reviews, check out this playlist where I have some of their collabs with Casey Musgraves, some wonderful holiday fragrances, and others. But here we have Citrush by Boy Smells, very clean, classic, amber-colored glass vessel. This is their 8-ounce traditional sized candle. And getting my nose on it, it is musky, sweet, exceedingly fresh and ripe, but with intense depth. The grapefruit, mandarin, and lemon are kind of the co-headliners, along with a vapor aspect from terpenes and fig, a bit of heady powder and sharp gas-like essence. But it's all balanced with a depth of musk and ambrox and ISO-E super, which we're gonna get into, top, middle, bottom notes, digging into those together on our professorial learning journey together. And those bottom notes really give it an alluring, intoxicating, not quite sweaty, but definitely ripe, velvety, sleek, kind of wood veneer base. And all that to say that woody, musky base still stays a bit soft, not heavy or even traditionally woody. Overall, you've got the rush of the bright citruses topping the vaporous terpenes, mint, and airy fig, dancing together over the sultry, animalic, musky bottom. Really a unique, alluring scent. Does it smell like the inspiration? You'll have to ask someone else on that. When it comes to the performance of the candle, it is abysmal. I love the fragrance. However, the burn, as you can see, is not good. I burned this 4 or 5 times, probably a total of, 15 hours. The wax has barely burned away because the burn is so terrible. So when I light this, like with almost all Boy Smells candles and most luxury candles, I do put a foil topper on here, just made from, household aluminum foil to keep the heat in, to ensure an even pool across so that you don't get tunneling or canyoning, which happens with many candles and most Boy Smells candles, frankly. And it works. It does get a full pool. It gets a decently healthy depth of pool. And so at that point you think, okay, maybe because I'm in a home that's 72 degrees, I can take that lid off to really let the fragrance throw and spread throughout the space, while it is also in a hurricane, surrounded in glass, so with no drafts. But literally, when you take that off, give it another 45 minutes, and this starts to happen where the wax starts to harden from the outside in. Now that is not entirely uncommon, though most of the time you get the pool, you take the topper off, and then you're good to go for that burn. Sometimes it happens where you take the topper off and it slowly starts to cool from the outside in and has the risk of tunneling or canyoning. The additional insult to injury with this specific candle is that when it has that full pool across, the wick actually almost drowns. I did not cut this wick. You can see it is the tiniest little nub there. And so because it starts to drown in the healthy pool, it doesn't get hot enough to actually combust and burn the wax away. So really, it's almost like I'm melting this candle when I light it. It's the same 3/4 inch of wax on top that is melting and cooling and melting and cooling. And at some point, the fragrance oils are going to be burned out from there, used up, and in this case, I'm gonna have to dump out this top layer of wax to get to a lower layer, and I never do that. People talk about having to put cotton balls in candles or using lamps or crocks. I'm not into that. I wanna burn a candle. That's what it's for, the ambiance, and without the fussiness of lamps and warmers, though I know some people enjoy them and appreciate them, and there's a reason why they're necessary in some cases. I just don't have the space, energy, or interest in that. And with this, I'm going to actually have to pour out wax that was not inexpensive to purchase, so that is frustrating. A luxury candle brand really kind of needs to get it right, and most of them don't entirely get it right. Unless you have 2 wicks or 3 wicks, it's sometimes tough to get a full pool, even with a vessel that is not particularly wide in diameter. On the flip side, even with the abysmal performance issues, it does have a solid projection and a really alluring, exciting, interesting, unique fragrance. So it's like, like with the other luxury brands, I'm sometimes willing to put up with poor burns. This is clearly underwicked. The wick is not strong enough to get the wax hot enough to burn away. I'm going to dive into the 11 top, middle, bottom notes. We're going to talk through exactly what they are, what they mean, because there's some in here that a lot of folks probably have not heard of before. But first, let's talk briefly about the eau de parfum. So Boy Smells makes many, though not all, of their fragrances also in eau de parfums, full size as well as this sort of travel spray. This is a nicely manufactured amber colored glass. This is metal, not plastic, when it comes to the lid and the atomizer, and it gets a really healthy spritz. Do a spray here. It smells a little bit different from the candle, although it does have the same 11 top, middle, bottom notes. To me, this is a bit sweeter, a bit fresher, more on the maybe ISO-E Super side of things, which we'll dig into in those notes. I think the sweetness of the pomelo and fig really are the headliners here. Of course, those are top and middle notes. This is just freshly sprayed, so it's not surprising that I'm getting those primarily, though I have worn this a few times. It has a nice dry down. It does get into that kind of velvety, musky wood veneer that I mentioned in the candle. And it reminds me a bit actually of another fragrance that I had years ago called Pacific Lime from Atelier Cologne. They're currently no longer selling within the United States. I believe they are primarily sold in Asia and France at the moment, but it had a really strong dose of citruses and a very summery scent, which this candle I would almost say is year round based on the balance between the bright citruses and the mid and bottoms. And there is certainly a bit of that ambery, musky, animalic side to this, which is such a fun push and pull between the citruses and the musks. You sometimes get candles that lean a bit more in one direction or the other, and Boy Smells is great at challenging those types of norms. So that is the Citrush Eau de Parfum. Now again, there are 11 top, middle, bottom notes that we're going to talk through. Try to run through them quickly because a lot of them we are familiar with. So of course, top note of lemon. That's gonna be astringent, sour, sweet, bright, cheerful, and vibrant. Lemon delivers energy, brightness, freshness, like sparkling, sweet sunshine. Then we have black pepper, hot, fresh, almost tingly to sniff. It is in fact the most widely used spice on the planet. There's a burst of heat. It's surprisingly fresh yet woody and blends very well with citruses. Then we get citrus, or as they say, citric aldehyde. Now, what is an aldehyde? An aldehyde is an organic compound with a carbonyl structure, a mixture of aroma chemicals, isolates, and essential oils. Used commonly in fine fragrance, it is a perfume modifier. Citrus aldehyde specifically has the ability to bring freshness and radiance, and it's widely used to create bright, sparkling top notes in many fragrances. Aldehydes are known to sort of turbocharge a fragrance, giving an almost fizzy first impression. Summery, bright, fresh, juicy orange, but not too sweet and with maybe a drop of lemon. Getting deeper into our notes, we have another citrus with pomelo, which is energizing like a grapefruit, though not as bitter. It adds a citrusy sparkle and originated in South Asia. Yet another citrus thrown into Citrush is mandarin, also known as clementine. It has that zing. They say that mandarin's zing is instantly cheerful, sweet, fruity, zesty, citrusy, with hints of honey and neroli. It's said to be not as fresh as lemon and lime, and with more character than a traditional orange. Then we move into some of our vaporous notes that I think give some of the gassy, cooling strength in the middle, led by frozen mint. Now they don't clarify, is it mint, is it peppermint, is it spearmint? So we're going with sort of a general generic mint here. They say frozen, which leads me to believe it could be more on the peppermint side, perhaps, because you have the menthol in peppermint, whereas spearmint does not have menthol. So think a bit bracing, cooling, refreshing, perhaps with a hint of sweetness. I'm leaning less sweet. I think any sweetness we get is most likely from all of the citruses. And then we've got terpenes. Non-specific terpenes, but what are they? So they are the aromatic compounds found within a variety of plants, responsible for each plant's unique fragrance. And they're found within those plants' essential oils. And there are terpenes within many plants, but primarily we use them from conifer trees and citrus trees. And our final middle note, the fig. So figs are from deciduous trees in the Middle East and Mediterranean, and interestingly, they are not a fruit. It's actually an inflorescence, which is a cluster of many flowers and seeds contained inside a bulbous stem. You can use the fig itself or its leaves in fragrance. So if using the fig itself, the fragrance may be earthy, decadent, lush, juicy, ripe, sunny, sweet, honeyed, a sappy, almost prune-like gourmand. And then the bitter green leaf may be used in a green, powdery, fresh floral, giving you a sense of shade within the heat. And then finally, our three very important, very present bottoms here. First, iso-E super. So that is a synthetic aromatic chemical compound, and it is one of the most versatile odor molecules ever, and it is in almost every fragrance that you buy today. It's a novel molecule that was manufactured by International Fragrances and Flavors back in 1988. It's a fragrance booster, it helps with longevity, it brings out the clarity of other notes, and makes them smell even more like themselves. They say almost hyper real. And it is used in many modern fragrances to impart a fullness and a subtle strength. And it's used literally from fine fragrances to laundry detergents. It is actually probably the most well-known synthetic molecule to the general public, though we may actually not realize it. Knowing that, what does it smell like? So it's a remarkably pleasant smell, smooth, dry, woody, cedar-like with aspects of sandalwood, a bit of ambergris, vetiver, patchouli, a phenolic nuance. Keep the list going. A bit leathery, spicy, like a powdery iris, some incense, clean pine, and musk. It feels cozy, and it's really beloved for its soft velvet-like nuance. And so it's difficult to think, well, velvet feels like something, how does that smell like something? But when you smell iso-E super, it does carry this cozy, soft, velvet-like skin feeling. With all of those typically heavy notes, it does not present as heavy or overwhelming. It's somehow transparent and neutral. And interestingly, because it is such a smorgasbord of fragrance notes put all together into this molecule, you can't really associate it with something from everyday life. Then we move into musk, or as they're calling ripe musk. So musk is already ripe, so they're saying ripe musk. They're giving you musk here. And so musk, of course, is a class of aromatic substances all its own, commonly used as base notes in perfumery. Musks originated as glandular secretions from animals, literally the musk deer, though today commonly, thankfully, musks are sourced from numerous plants that do emit similar fragrances. Musks are attractants. They're alluring, hypnotizing, animalic, sweet, powdery, a little metallic. Are you drawn to them? Are you repulsed by them? Probably somewhere in the middle. And then our final base note, ambrox. Ambrox is a version of ambroxide, which is a naturally occurring terpenoid and one of the key constituents for the odor of ambergris, which of course we know ambergris is the byproduct of the sperm whale's digestive tract that was originally used in fine fragrance many years ago, and now we go to either synthetic or plant-based amber substances. But ambroxide, and this is the super fragrance nerds out there science nerds will appreciate this one. I find it fascinating. But ambroxide specifically is synthesized from an ingredient that comes from clary sage essential oil. But note that it is heavily processed, where the ambroxide smells really nothing like clary sage. Any ambroxides are going to be velvety. Some people find it smooth and salty skin-like, or it can be creamy, musky like a labdanum resin. And it's an abstract quality, but headline, think amber. And putting that all together, as I said, you have this rush of bright citruses smashing into the vaporous terpenes and fig, that tiny bit of mint in the background that brings another cooling, almost whoosh rush factor, and that sultry, animalic, musky bottom of the isoe super that's velvety and soft with the ambrox and musk. Very unique, very interesting. I do highly recommend the fragrance itself. It is currently, as of early August 2024, out of stock on the Boy Smells website, but due to its popularity, I assume it will be coming back, and hopefully that next batch will not have the burn issues that this one does. I may reach out to them just to see what they have to say. I saw a few reviews on the website that actually mentioned poor burn, so they are aware of it, but as we know, brands can be aware of issues and may or may not course correct. So that is the review today for Boy Smells Citrush Candle and Eau de Parfum. Let me know what you think. Have you smelled this? Do you want to smell this? Does it sound amazing? Does it sound repulsive? I'd love to hear your thoughts or any questions, and until next time, take care.